everybody? Welcome back to the Mannix Factor. I'm Mannix. Thank you for rocking with me on this day or night, or whenever you're rocking. Thank you for spending it with me. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the Griz, right? The Griz lost to UC Davis, 30-14. Just a terrible, terrible game. So those of you that went there, I'm sorry for those of you. I was there, but I'm a student, so I get in for free. But still. Um, Last week I mentioned that the quarterback, Miles Hastings, is one of the best, that we needed to slow him down. And, in the first half, obviously we ended the first half down 13-7. But the crowd, we got all four of the McDonald's false start counters in the first half. We were an electric crowd in the first half. So it wasn't mad. And then the second half, Miles Hastings, 28 completions, 227 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Still had a great game. They UC Davis's offense committed 0 turnovers, and Ian Simpson, number 0, was their leading receiver, and his touchdown, he was wide open. There was no defender in the area. It was just a terrible game. But let's get into the specifics. Starting with the offense, and at quarterback, Logan Fife. 13 completions on 23 throws, 57%. Not great. 147 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Wasn't a very good interception either. It was pretty bad. Our other quarterback that we had in Kaliaya, 7 for 18. Not great. 62 yards, an interception, but was our leading runner with 7 carries, 29 yards in the rushing touchdown. He was good running, but his interception was also not great. As I said, he was our leading rusher, and 7 carries for 29 yards is not great. Eli Gilman, although better than last week, still not to form. 8 carries, 21 yards, and he had a catch for a yard. That's it. Nick Osmo, 6 carries for 8 yards. 6 carries for 8 yards. He had 4 catches for 22 yards. So running game, it was just awful. It's something we pride our team on, and we just couldn't get it done. We just couldn't run the ball to save our life. And that is a problem that we need to fix going forward if we make the playoffs, which I don't doubt that we will. But if we want to actually make a run, we need to be able to run. So now let's get to the only bright spot on our offense this week, and that was in our receiving in Junior Bergen, getting 6 catches on 14 targets, 43%, which isn't like a good catch to target ratio, but he, like I said, the only bright spot with 92 yards and a touchdown and 15.3 yards a catch. And when your offense is stalling, you go to what works, and he was the only thing that was working. So he was getting balls thrown his way no matter what. Some of them were defended, some of them weren't close. So that's why it is low for him. Moving on to our other receivers, Aaron Fonts, 4 receptions on 5 targets, 80%, 38 yards, 9.5 yards a catch. Keelan White, 3 receptions on 4 targets, 75%, 26 yards, 8.7 yards a catch. Sawyer Racanelli, 1 reception on 2 targets, 50%, and that 1 catch was for 22 yards. Drew Deck had 1 catch on 6 targets, so 17%, so it wasn't a great day for Drew Deck, and his catch was for 8 yards. And that was all our receivers. I'd like to also note that Xavier Harris had a 2 yard rush. We didn't really get the ball otherwise this game. And then kicking, again, like last week, not much to say this week. Ty Morrison on our 2 touchdowns made both the extra points. So there isn't really much else to go on. But yeah, not our obviously not our best offensive performance ever. Um, it's something we're gonna need to work on, and I think we got we'll get to our opponent later, but I think we'll have a good bounce back this Saturday. Moving on to the defense, not not great, but there were again. There's always bright spots somewhere. Our top tacklers, Ryder Meyer, had 17 total tackles, 9 assisted, 8 solo, and he had a tackle for loss for 4 yards. Jackson Lee, our other safety, 13 total tackles, 11 assisted, 2 solo. And then Ryan Tyrrell, 8 total, 5 assisted, 3 solo, and had a tackle for loss for 2 yards. Those are great by those guys, but seeing that the two top tacklers were in the secondary, that kind of tells a bit of the story on how this game was going for us. That they're getting to that second level. Obviously, there's plays where both these guys play much closer to the line of scrimmage, but they're safeties, so they're usually playing back in coverage. So that just tells you how easy UC Davis was getting to that third level. Some other notable things defensively: Riley Wilson had a tackle for loss for 8 yards. Caleb Odowaski had a tackle for loss for a yard. Hayden Harris had a tackle for loss for 2 yards. And Henry Newsey had a tackle for loss for 1 yard. Our total defense: 6 tackles for loss, 0 sacks, 0 picks, 0 fumbles. So defensively, this was debatably, looking at it, it's our second worst defensive performance of the year. Having 0 sacks and 0 turnovers when it's such a big part of our culture here at the University of Montana, just our team, we pride ourselves on our defense, and it's terrible, absolutely terrible. The only reason it's second is because we let Weber State put 55 up at home, and also, even though in that game we actually got 2 sacks at least. We got sacks in that game, but 55 points is a little too much. And both those are at home, and that's another big thing is we are a team that shouldn't be losing at home. We're a team that always has the advantage at home. We're one of the we're the best environment to play in for us. Obviously, everyone else, it's the worst environment to play in, and we've lost twice this year. So that's unacceptable for what we hold ourselves to, what the team holds itself to. But enough getting down on the team. I kind of now airing it out, move forward and look on and try and move on from this the best we can. Our next opponent is Portland State. They're 2-7. So that's why I'm saying this next game will be kind of a bounce back. Should be. If we lose this game, then we're really going to be in a tough position come next week. Their last they lost by 1 to UC Davis. So they played well against UC Davis. Their QB, Dante Shasheri, I don't know if I'm saying that right. He's a big dual threat. He has 12 rushing touchdowns which is the same as Eli Gilman. So he's one of the top players in the FCS. So for our defense, he is going to be a tough guy to get. But if we kind of collapse the pocket around him, then we'll be able to get sacks. But I think if he's getting off and rolling out, I just don't know if any of our guys will be able to get to him fast enough. Their last game, they just lost 30-39 to Idaho, who are ranked third in the Big Sky above us. And in that game, the quarterback, Dante, was 15 for 21, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. He wasn't much of a runner in this game, but they had their running back, Deion Thompson. He had 15 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. But looking throughout the season, like I said, Dante is a dual threat. Most of the games where they win, he is the leading rusher and has almost sometimes had more rushing yards than passing yards and more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns. So, like I said, big dual threat. We're going to have somebody who we think is fast enough, just be there to be a spy, not let him get, if he does get loose, not to get very far with it. In terms of against us, our all-time record, we are 34-13 and 8-2 in our last 10 against Portland State. So historically, we're pretty good. Our last loss to them was at home in 2018, and we lost 20-22. Our last matchup was last year when we won 34-10. So we're coming off the win. They're coming off a loss to us, and we're both coming off losses, obviously, right now. My recommended strategy offensively is to run the ball. Every team that has beaten Portland State has had a 100-yard rusher, sometimes had a 100-yard rusher and a 75-yard rusher. That's 3 touchdowns. So running the ball seems to be the preferred strategy, and I think that's something we need, as our running game has not looked great these past couple weeks. So I think we need to run. We need to build up that confidence. We need to figure it out because we're going to need the run game to open up the pass to beat playoff teams if we are trying to do that. Defensively, like I said, contain the quarterback. I think really that's like the big thing. Like they're 2-7. And obviously that's not a great record, but we're not going to underestimate the talent and the legs. So I think the biggest thing is if we can contain him, then we can be better at defending and forcing, hopefully, mistakes. All right. So that's all for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if there's something you want to see or something I haven't talked about. And also, football seasons ends eventually. Depending on when our season ends, do you want me to continue talking about the teams that are left? Do you want me to move on to Griz basketball? Do you want me to talk, if we go through pretty far and we're after college football playoffs, do you want me to talk about the NFL? Just leave suggestions or something you might want to see here. Thank you and peace out.